My name is Koppel. I became a starting strength coach in 2014. And I found starting strength after a few years of owning my gym. I owned a gym in New York, and it started off as a fitness facility. And I pretty much was certified under every certification: TRX, rowing, boxing, and anything, spin, everything that was out there. I became certified in because I felt like it was my responsibility to give my members the best in every area of fitness. And the only thing that was really missing was barbell training. I had visited CrossFit when it first opened, and I didn't enjoy the workout, and I thought it was too risky for my members to take part in. So that was really my second exposure to barbell training. The first exposure was just going to Gold's Gym and lifting with the boys because I wanted to figure out what barbell training was. But it wasn't for my members because most of them were mothers and grandmothers. And it was obvious after a couple of years of owning my gym that there was a missing component. People weren't strong enough to withstand the stress of the cardio workouts. So we did some high impact aerobics as well as low impact. We did your basic dumbbells and aerobic dance and Pilates and yoga and everything that belongs in a fitness studio. But they weren't strong enough to benefit from them. And I was concerned that when they were pushing themselves that they were also going to get hurt. So I knew that they had to get stronger and they had to strength train, and I wanted to figure out a way to do it correctly. So once my business was settled and I had a staff, because at first it was just me teaching, I ventured out and did a Google search for the local area, and I wanted to see who was teaching barbells. So I went to a few facilities. I knew that a Gold's Gym model was not going to be for my women. And I actually found an athletic performance center that was training athletes. And I went there with the sole intention of learning to barbell train, but they wound up putting me through other types of workouts, like strongman workouts, and the occasional barbell training. But there I had my first encounter with exposure to starting strength, because that's where I met Nick D'Agostino, who's a starting strength coach. And after training at this facility, I asked the manager to give me a different trainer because I wanted someone who was into learning and reading and somebody who kind of respected the training process and was strength focused. And that's where I met Nick. And Nick and I trained together for a while, and it was obvious that he and I had the same mindset, and we were both interested in figuring out how to barbell train correctly and to train our clients correctly. And then he came across the Starting Strength book, and the rest is history. So we both attended a seminar. Nick eventually went to work for me, and we started to practice on our own trainees. And I attended my first seminar and realized that I had found the thing I was looking for. Well, the reason that I was in search for starting strength was because I was hurt. And I got hurt barbell training, and I was hurt teaching aerobics all the time. I had chronic pain. My body was beat up from teaching classes, and at the same time trying to learn how to strength train. So I would run, after teaching classes and before teaching again at night, I would run to the training facility and try to weight train. So my numbers were very low, and I was always in pain. I had pain in my back and my hip, my knees hurt, but I pushed through because that's my nature. And then when I went to my first starting strength seminar, it was because I was injured and I was looking for the right way to do it. And I went to a few other places. I traveled to Indiana, attended a strength seminar where these physical therapists claimed to be able to teach the squat the right way, and then they did some hokey things with me and it didn't work out. So when I found starting strength, I was pretty weak. But I was fit by the standards of cardiovascular fitness, and I could I was sparring a little bit, I was dabbling in Muay Thai, and so my body was taking a beating. And I think I squatted 65 pounds, but I squatted incorrectly. So I went too deep, it took a while. But after the seminar, I remember getting there, and the first seminar, I think I pulled 95 pounds was my deadlift, and my squat was about 65, mostly because I didn't know how to move correctly and I was guarding the pain that I was having. And then my second seminar, I was already pulling 185, and I was squatting 155, and that was a big deal for me. And I had all these, injuries that I had to work around. And I got my squat up to 225, and I got my deadlift up to 275, and everything felt better. All of my pain went away, and I didn't think it was possible. And the only thing that really hindered my progress with barbell training was that I was still teaching aerobics. And so I wasn't recovered. And I was still, enjoying boxing. I was still, using up my body, and I was teaching a lot. And then I came to a point where I said, I've been studying starting strength for a year now, and I got to devote myself to this, or else I'm never going to be able to fully experience the benefits of this program. And when I cut back all the cardio and gave up most of the fitness, then I got stronger, and my pain went away, which was amazing. I gained some weight, but I don't think it was that much weight in the beginning. I didn't really know how to eat, because we were always trained to, conserve food. You wanted to stay lean if you were boxing. You wanted to stay lean if you were teaching spin. You can't afford to teach kickboxing and be heavy, right? So that was my perception. And then when I gained muscle mass and I weighed more on the scale because I was stronger, I could jump higher. I could teach classes a lot easier without straining my heart. And everything changed for me. And all the things that I wanted to improve about my body changed too. It was unbelievable because I worked out all day. But my butt didn't look as good as I wanted it to. Didn't have as much shape. It was little. But, little, and when you get older, eventually starts to sag, and that's not fun. I didn't really like the way that my back looked, even though I was boxing, and I had definition. I wasn't strong, and I wasn't really, women are never happy with themselves. But I mostly wasn't happy because of my performance. Not so much, I was in my 30s, late 30s then. Now I'm 50. So now it's really important to keep your things together, But it was really obvious that the more I dedicated myself to the strength training, the more it gave back to me. And it was obvious that I had to do the grown-up thing, and I had to stop the chronic cardio workouts. And I had to put aside the things that I was used to doing, like, boxing and all the things I enjoyed for a little bit, so I could dedicate myself to really see what can this program do for me. And the biggest thing it did for me is it got me out of pain, and I could do my job better, and I could sleep better, and I wasn't grumpy, and I also wasn't having to, take Advil and, ice packs and run to chiropractors and spend so much money on massage therapists and chiropractors all the time, being told I'm out of alignment. It's like, how do I live, And then when I started moving correctly, and I started to barbell train correctly, and the more I attended starting strength seminars, and then eventually became a coach, I realized this was my responsibility, and the fix was in my hands. And it was the greatest thing I've ever done. What struck me, what was the hardest thing about coaching women is that they don't know what they're capable of, which is surprising because they're prepared to give birth, and they're not afraid of childbirth, which is traumatic and really hard on the body and very scary and not in your control. And they do it multiple times. But they're scared to get under a bar and squat something that might be 5 pounds heavier than the last workout, which what they did quite easily. I realized that it was a mental game for women, and that women really didn't know what they were capable of because the fitness facilities don't cater to strength for women. And they don't make that their focus. So women are always testing themselves through things like yoga, Pilates, and cardio workouts, and how small they could be, and how they look in their dress or their jeans, and they don't really measure their strength. And my gym had a lot of mothers, grandmothers, and young ladies who were getting married. We had about 95% of our demographic was women. And there was a big emotional component. And what helped them overcome their fear is watching other women do it. And when they first would come in for a tour, I used to give a tour, in between groups in an empty gym. And it was a beautiful gym and quite welcoming. But it was intimidating to them. And I stopped giving tours during empty hours because I realized when they looked at the equipment, they didn't have a reference. They were scared of it because they didn't really have a reference for what that barbell could do. And they thought it was out of their scope of practice and that they could not participate in such a thing. But when I started doing the tours during groups, what they really enjoyed seeing was not just the other women lifting, was how the women interacted together. It's a very supportive environment, and you can see people cheering for each other as they head towards a PR. People who train together as a group get to know each other, and they get to know each other's background and the things they're struggling with and in their personal life, and they became friends. And so people support each other, and they really feel for one another, and they really know what each person is going to be doing in the next workout, and they cheer for them. And that's something that I thought was better for them to see than an empty gym and barbells, because it was intimidating to them. So it was very important, the group training aspect. The one-on-one wasn't as effective. And women in general, when they see the barbell, they think, I can't do it right away. It's too heavy for me. When oddly enough, they're carrying their kids, their groceries. They don't really weigh the things that they're carrying to their cars or going up and down the stairs, the things that they've got to do with laundry. And they're giving birth multiple times. And they're never afraid of that because it's just sort of mainstream, it's part of your life. You kind of accept this as the norm, and people do it. And so because women do it, I know I have to do it, and I'll be okay when I go in to give birth. But with the barbell training, something very light that starts, with basically a bodyweight squat, they were scared to try. And it wasn't because they were afraid of the weight, because they don't really have an understanding of what 65 pounds is over 95. I just didn't tell them the load on the bar. They were afraid of failing. Because already they were conditioned to believe that when women step into a strength gym, that the men succeed and the women fail. And that's what they were afraid of. And when they saw a community of women cheering for each other, getting stronger, and also the unique thing about starting strength is that there's a real skill. And it's a system. You become an athlete when you start training with the starting strength method. It's not random. This isn't like when I used to go to the Globo gyms and lift with the guys, and it was all sort of random programming. And you did a lot of bench press, you did some machines, and it was called strength training. But there was never an idea of adapting to something, applying a stress. The programming is as specific as the movements are in starting strength. And when people realized that there was a skill to it, they had respect for it. And they took part in it because it helped them feel like they really enjoyed being an athlete again. Women have to give up a lot when they become a mom. And having that barbell program for them was like taking part in a sport again. And they could reawaken the things that they had done when they were young that they thought they had to give up. And in our gym and in starting strength, women know that they are as capable as the men are, because we're practicing an art form. It's a skill that we're always refining, and the focus becomes on how you're doing it and why you're doing it, and not just the number on the bar. It's there, and we measure progress with weights and reps, but the focus on recovery and movement patterns and studying the method, it was very appealing to women. But women in general feel like, that's for men, we're not capable. And when I showed them that they were just, they just ate it up. It changed everything about them. So, yeah, that was my favorite part. I never, I had a lot of trainers when I was in the fitness field. Even when I owned a gym, I've always had a coach or a trainer because I relied on the trainer to teach me something new. But I never had a coach until I became a starting strength coach and hired a starting strength coach for myself. Coach means different things. It also means a mentor. Because in starting strength, we look at our trainees not just as the physical athlete and how they move and what their program is, but we become mentors to them. We feel a very heavy burden of responsibility as a coach to take care of the person as a whole. And for me, that's what was the appeal, to become a starting strength coach, to take care of people better, to make them better mentally, emotionally, in addition to physically. Having a coach is important not just because the coach has to teach you how to do the thing, but because the coach has to help you overcome things like fear, self-doubt, help you structure your life. Some people need structure and discipline and focus. Maybe they live an unhealthy lifestyle, or maybe they're depressed, or maybe they're under so much stress and they have such a big burden of responsibility to take care of other people that they need someone to take care of them. And having a starting strength coach by your side isn't just about teaching you how to squat and deadlift. Yes, we can keep you safe and we can get you stronger, but we also take part in something bigger. We become mentors and educators, and we're invested in our trainees, because you and I both know that if you're not emotionally well and your coach isn't in tune with that, it's going to affect your workout when you come in. And you know, I've done a lot of growing up since I became a coach. I've had to confront my insecurities and my fears, and my coach has helped me do that. They weren't trainers. They didn't keep count. They helped teach me so I could help myself, and they believed in me. And if someone believes in you, then you believe in yourself, and that's what a coach is for, you know. I can't believe it. I remember when I failed my platform twice because back then we didn't have a way of preparing for the starting strength credential. Well, you just sort of bought the book, you practiced on your own, there was nobody to follow, and you went to a seminar where you learned and tested out. So now, you know, we have this process that's evolved over time. You know, when I was doing it, the YouTube channel wasn't a thing. We didn't have all those resources. So over time, we have, you know, the book, we have the supporting material now on the website, the YouTube channel, and now the prep course. And so there's this streamlined process of education that people can start and finish with that'll help them become a coach in a way that makes sense, that's economical and efficient. And we also have a robust group of coaches that are there to support apprentices. And I'm fortunate enough to help other people become coaches. It was something I really loved doing in my own gym. Because when I find somebody who's super passionate about this, you know, when they get it, I just want to talk to them about it all day. Because it's like, yes, you get it. You know why this is so valuable. You know, I want to expose them to it. You know, I want to give them every opportunity to do the thing that they love to do. And so I raised a lot of apprentices in my gym. And now I get to do it, you know, for all of the gyms for starting strength. And the reason I love it is because I love to help people find work doing what they know brings them meaning. It isn't enough to just be passionate about it, because you and I both know that those are emotions that come and go. But you have to ground yourself in something in life, and you have to do work that's meaningful and that you believe is going to bring greater value to your clients and maybe your community and even abroad. And I really enjoy giving coaches and apprentices the ability to find work doing something that they know is meaningful, because it's going to improve their life greatly, and then they're going to help improve someone else's. And I think that in this day and age, we have to be very concerned with the state of health, fitness. I think that people need to help themselves, and they need to be strong for a number of reasons. And if I can help make coaches who help to make their communities stronger, braver, more courageous, more capable, then I think that we can help navigate, you know, through this crazy world. You know, and if you help a mother and you help a father, you help their family members. And I think the coach is super important for that. I love this job because it helps to bring meaning to people's lives. So we have, I get a lot of inquiries from people who are under the impression that this is just another certification that they purchase. I can tell you from personal experience, as soon as I attended any kind of course or weekend training, before I walked in, just the fact that I paid for the course, I knew I was coming out with a certification. So, but they didn't teach me anything really that I couldn't learn on a video. This is not a personal training weekend degree. This is a skill. This is a specialized skill that you're learning. And so when you come into this, it's because you have chosen your career. This isn't a side gig, and this isn't a personal training stint that you're going to do on the weekends to make extra money. This is a career that's meaningful, And what we help them do is to acquire the skill, the knowledge, the confidence, and a job working in this trade of getting people stronger and teaching the starting strength method. It's very specific. So when people come in as very green apprentices, where maybe they've been exposed to starting strength, they've been training themselves, and they know that they're really interested in this and they want to start coaching their mom and their friends, they usually contact me because they hear that we are now helping people become coaches. And so the way that this differs is that you have to be very self-motivated. You don't get the certification as soon as you sign up for the seminar. You get to meet Rip and you get to meet our coaches, which is great, but what you also get to see is what you don't know. And you don't know what you don't know until you get here and you come to a seminar and you're exposed to the excellent coaches that are on the platform demonstrating the way that they coach in a talented way. It's obvious that there's a skill and there's a model against which they are comparing all the movements. It's obvious that these are skilled professionals. And so the apprentices, to be qualified, they have to really, for me, I want to see that they've attended a camp, they've had some exposure seminars, so that they really know what this is that they're getting into. And they'll be supported with, if they land an apprenticeship, they'll be supported by a starting strength coach who becomes a mentor to them. They'll join the prep course. They'll have the benefit of coaching at a starting strength gym and practicing with those members, and to really be immersed in the starting strength training experience. So apprentices can make, if they start coaching for a gym, depending on the situation in the gym and the arrangements, they can make anywhere from $20 to $30 an hour, and they become a staff coach, and upwards of $45 an hour and up once they become a starting strength coach. So this is something that can be a full-time career for people, and as much as they want to put into it, they can get out of it, and we'll give you the opportunity, but you have to step up. And you can make a full-time salary doing what you love to do, but you have to understand it's a skill, and you have to apply yourself as if you're learning a trade. You're learning a specialized skill, and you'll be applying it to your members, and it's a big responsibility. And you have to develop your coach's eye, which most people don't have, because they don't know what they're looking at in the beginning. I didn't, and I had to train hundreds of people, but I didn't have the benefit of what they do. Apprentices now can follow starting strength coaches and be in a starting strength gym, which is like unheard of. You're not in a Globo gym trying to get trainees with a owner of the gym was telling you don't do that. We want you to put people on machines. Like, you don't have to negotiate your way around. These are specialized facilities, from the equipment to the mentorship process. And what's exciting is that these apprentices come in, they start off with very little experience, and they join this chain of apprentices and coaches where one helps to mentor the other. It's a very unique setting. I tell everyone, when I was in the fitness field, everything was competitive. Trainers and instructors competed with one another. In starting strength gyms, people help each other. The coaches and apprentices teach one another, and they help each other come up the ranks as they go through the course and the practice and the educational process. And that's very unique. And what's also unique is that starting strength gyms function as career centers. So you might be trained at one gym and they're training you for another gym that's coming open, which is also unheard of, right? It's normally businesses compete, but not in our gyms, because our mission is something a little bit bigger, which is to bring starting strength to as many communities as we can, to make this country stronger and make people healthier, more capable. And so the gyms support that idea as one. And so we will coach and we'll train up one person, one apprentice, and prepare them for another gym. And that's happening all over the starting strength gyms. So the apprenticeship is very unique. There's nothing else like this, from the job placement to the way that they take you in as a family, to the time that you always see on our social media, you'll see how the apprentices are going out with their teams to dinner, they go out to events together, and that's because there's none of that ill will competitive feeling. I always tell the apprentices when they ask me, like, what are they looking for? I never, I don't really ask what their squat is. They fill it out on their form. But I tell them, like, you also have to be a person who will mentor someone else. You have to be a good teacher, because a coach is a teacher. And you will be taught, and you're lucky enough to have the members of this gym volunteer for you to learn by practicing on them. And the starting strength coach and the staff coach will mentor you so that you can become a coach, so that you can have a job and you can have a career. But you have to also be a teacher and a mentor to someone else. You have to be a mentor. You have to want to mentor people, from your clients to the upcoming apprentices. And you have to be disciplined. You have to know what you want. So I always encourage people to come to a seminar, to go for intro sessions at a gym that's close to them, to hire a starting strength coach online through the gyms, and to really immerse themselves as much as they can before they apply for the apprenticeship, because we want to make sure that you're ready for this, because this is a life change and it's a commitment, and you have to attack it. You have to really get after it and take advantage of the opportunity that you have in front of you, and do your best in the prep course, and show up every day to learn, and take advantage of the opportunity in front of you. Well, they should go to startingstrengthgyms.com and go to the coach page, and there is a form on there. That website has information on how to become a coach and what this process entails, and there's a form that they can fill out, and then it comes to me, and I'll email them, and we'll talk on the phone and talk about their goals and talk about their what will be required of them. And sometimes people call me and they just want to know general information on becoming a coach, and I'm happy to help people. But if you want to become an apprentice and you want to work for Starting Strength Gyms, you have to go to the website, fill out the form, and then we'll talk and see if you're qualified.